Boom, and we are live. Welcome to Tokyo Tonight too. Good to see you all. I don't see the comments down the bottom popping up yet, but I'm hoping they're going to start showing up, particularly if I type in hey. There we go. Boom. We are live, active. Good to see you all. How are you all? A bit late tonight. I'm sorry. Went out for the day, came back late. Everything was just running a little bit behind. Yeah, is what it is. Just went and had a shower and everything. Normally I'm scrambling anyway at 10:30, so 15 minutes later than usual. That's good to see you all. Good to see the Sergeant Bilko, as well as Mogberry Pie, Mr. Cordy Chep, Quint Ranked. We've got everybody here. How's it? Congratulations, by the way, to Mogberry Pie. I don't know if you're a rugby fan, but you guys beat New Zealand yesterday in New Zealand in a game that I honestly, like, in all New Zealand modesty, I thought we were going to beat you guys by like 100 points, and New Zealand beat South Africa. Which is going through a rough period at the moment, which is fantastic. It made the game, it was a fantastic game. They played really, really well. I don't talk much about rugby on this show, but I do like to watch rugby, obviously, and I'm a New Zealander, so Argentina beating Australia and South Africa beating New Zealand was great. It just means that there's a 4-country tournament between South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Argentina. And New Zealand's been so strong lately that it's almost been like, well, what's the point in even watching this? I mean, not coming from everybody. But yeah, now it's like, it's actually super interesting. Fox Morris, oh, long time no see, good to see you, man. And I never fear indeed Shubas from Panama's here. James Kelly, Odie Jr., good morning, boom to all of you. Good to see you. Awesome, yes, welcome. That's flashing away then. I actually should use the, you can actually like AirPlay the screen image, and that was actually quite a good way to capture it. I'm thinking about doing that, but at the moment I just plug straight in to HDMI, and that causes the connection issues. So yeah, this week has been an interesting week. Had 2.5 Voyages again last night. If you haven't, no, congratulations, Mogberry Pie. If you didn't catch it, 2.5 Voyages, we've been kind of rebooting. I wanted to try to do a variation of this, use this Streamlabs OBS to create an awesome new interface and teach Victor how to do it, but he kind of surprised me yesterday. The show started a little bit early. To tell you the truth, I was kind of cranky at the start of the show because everything was different to the plan, the time was different. I was like, oh god, we've got to get on. And but as usual, just when I talk with Victor, you know, one, it's always interesting, and two, it actually ends up being super fun, and that's what it was like. So make sure you check that out. That was on Give Me a Flake Man yesterday, and we're going to keep backing and forthing, so next week it'll be here on this channel. Yeah, that was a good show. We talked a bit about Naomi Osaka and this and that. Hopefully we're going to get guests on. Hey Tyrone D, good to see you. What up indeed, the J-Vlog 07 indeed. So yeah, I've got some topics for you. Not as many, I just went and had a look before, and it's not as many as I have done another week, so perhaps we'll get through it quickly, and if we get through it quickly, well, one, you can always ask me questions, and although it doesn't show it there, if you say my name, it'll highlight, and yeah, I'll be able to, it'll stand out to me, so feel free to do that. And if there's time at the end, I might get the old iPad out, boom, 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 maybe make a tune or two, because I haven't done that for a while. I really liked that tune last week, but one thing about Korg too, and this is part of what I'm going to talk about today, is that, or Korg, iKorg, is that you can't restart the loop, like you can't reset the timing of the loop. So yeah, 2.5 Voyages soon to be banned by YouTube. Well, they're definitely. I am not giving an iPad out, Mr. Cordy Chep, but feel free to dream on. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's in the title of the show that you should expect trouble, I suppose. We seem to get away with it. I'm not sure what Victor's channels, he said it was a troll, was basically claiming, I think, but yes. I know he lost his streaming rights, which was kind of interesting, but yes, the channel's still there. We are all still here. Let's get into it. Steve from Berkeley, good to have you along, and indeed, that's not the way that YouTube bans, but so let's go. That is a very unflattering picture of me sitting here last night, and it was fun. Although I really prefer this interface to that interface of like the full screen and the teleconference type thing. But that's just me. There's hardly any water in there. Let's finish that off. But yeah, it was a fun show. So Talk for Good, they've put out some new language learning resources. I might have actually covered this for July. but I saw it, and Tofuga is always awesome, and you should always follow Tofuga. And what have they got? They've got Vampires English Grammar, which I believe works both ways. So it was translated into Japanese, so I see you can use it to learn the other way when you're doing grammar. That's kind of interesting. Learn to Read in Japanese, Volume 2. Okay, these were all out after my time, so I'm not familiar with these, but that's pretty awesome. Kanji, I had actually a brainwave today about a great idea for a kanji game. But yeah, Japanese graded readers app. Okay, so this is by school year. White Rabbit Press, which, by the way, White Rabbit Press is amazing Japanese learning resources, so you should get out there. But yes, you have to scream about the Illuminati or something. I wouldn't scream about the Illuminati. I mean, hell, they're watching everything. You have to be careful of those guys. I actually like the Pentaveret. You know, the only good thing apart from, well, actually, the entire... Have you seen the Mike Myers movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer? It's not a great movie. In fact, you know, the entire movie is pretty much crap, except for one little part of the movie where Mike Myers plays his own Scottish grandfather and sits in the living room, and he does two things. One, he mocks, like, I can't figure out whether it's his son or his nephew, but he's got a really big, sort of frizzy, sort of afro head, Scottish kid with curly hair. And he mocks the kid's size, head size, and he talks about the Pentaveret, a conspiracy of 5 people that are ruling the world, as well as drunkenly, badly sings Rod Stewart songs. It's really, really, really good. But yes, Shaka the Zulu King is always declaring war on me. I don't recall that particular line or what you're talking about, but there we go. Mr. Gordy Chep, I guess you should make peace with the Zulus. Good to see you, Tai Nakamura. Good to have you in here. So anyway, getting back to the resources here. Kanji Explosion. What's this about? Kanji Bakuhatsu is an insight you can use to visually understand the components of... Okay, so it teaches you the radical meanings and that go into a kanji. That's kind of cool. Jimmy, the true story of a true idiot. I see, but it's got humor with subtitles. Oh, and this is talking about their warning. I wonder if they talk about the... they should talk about the fact that you can get a Chrome plugin which will show English and Japanese subtitles on Netflix at the same time, which is awesome, and you should do that. Giancarlo-san, good to have you along. So yes. What about the Coneheads? I've never seen the Coneheads, actually. I know people talk about it and it's meant to be classic, and I'm sure it is, but I don't actually know the Coneheads. I know I love Dan Aykroyd. I'm sure I'd enjoy it, and I don't know why I haven't watched it, but I haven't. So today I was actually going through, and one thing is, so I ordered the new iPhone XS, 256 gigabytes. I generally buy and update my iPhone to the 2-year cycle. I've had the iPhone 7 for a while now. That's what you're looking at right now. It's been actually doing fine for me. It doesn't feel like it's lagging. I could probably go a little bit longer, but I do like the camera. I do like to update, get the best. I must see the Coneheads. Well, you know what? I wonder if it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix. I'll go look it up. I'll go watch it tonight after this, actually, just because you guys told me I need to watch it, because I must admit, Chris Farley is here now. Okay, I love Chris Farley. Actually, for Chris Farley, I enjoy. I mean, I only know Chris Farley from YouTube, of course, but I love where he plays the motivational speaker. I'm sure he had other skits and other characters and other movies and so on, but I love the you're going to end up living in a van beside the river. And I also, as a Spanish student, I love it when he went to go to motivate the Spanish kids, and he, in broken Spanish, he's shouting at them that they have to pull their lives together or they're going to be en un coche al lado de un rio. I mean, I love that. Okay, it's got Chris Farley. I'm sold. I should go watch the Coneheads. Don't feed the capitalist monster. Who knows what that's about? Bald Billis, boy, good to have you along. Wow, we got a cool bunch of people in here today. This is what I love about this, honestly. I think this shows a very high quality of of commenters. So yes. So anyway, back onto it. I'm getting the new XS. And a couple of things. Well, one, until now, every iPhone that I've ever gotten has been locked when I've bought it, i.e. had to get it from SoftBank or Docomo or KDDI. You had to get it on some ridiculous plan where they try to make you pay for it over 4 years with little interest amounts and stuff like that and extra services to try to screw you out of money. And it's basically because the Japanese government was getting pissed off with the way that the phone carriers were... Oops. Come back. Me. Probably should not have bumped that. Let's twist this around, see if I can get that better. Come back. No. Boom, boom, boom. So basically, I always just bought an iPhone from the SoftBank shop, and no, that's not good. According to my iPhone, it's going through technical issues. I'm sorry. Well, I'll finish the thought and then I'll come back to it. Some companies are co-ops. Steven Gichuru, good to see you. That's a name I don't recognize. If you've been a lurker, welcome to the comment section, and if you're a new viewer, welcome to the show. So yes, with KDDI, SoftBank, I've always been SoftBank. I was originally Tsuka, which got taken over by JPhone, which got taken over by Vodafone, which got taken over by SoftBank. I've been loyal. I've been on the same mobile phone company since 1998. Or actually 1999 on the stint anyway. And there's no benefit whatsoever. You only get cheaper phone rates and stuff like that if you change companies. And my loyalty has been rewarded with nothing, pretty much. It's kind of depressing, but for some reason, just generally out of laziness, I'm stuck with the same companies. However, what happened on the last time that I updated was I got a... Seriously, I'm now concerned that is not coming back. I'm slightly disturbed. What's happening here? Come on. Sorry, let me try to get the image back. I'm gonna prove I'm a 1980s kid right now. This is what we used to do with video games with the Atari 2600 when it wasn't loading right. Blow on the heads, plug it in. That would fix it in the 80s, but we're not in the 80s anymore. So yeah, it meant that you couldn't buy a phone from Apple unless you bought an unlocked one, and then you wouldn't be able to use it with SoftBank or whatever. So what can you do? Basically, I just realized this time my phone is now unlocked. The government forced all the phone companies to allow unlocking of phones after you have them for 6 months, which this one is, and so I'm getting the new iPhone XS. And one major upside of that, this is extremely frustrating and irritating and annoying. I gotta fix this. One upside of that is the new phone is going to be has dual SIM. It's gonna, which means that when I'm traveling, one thing when I travel, I've only got this one SIM, which is my whole life, my Japanese SIM card. I hate taking it out for that week and needing to sellotape it onto something that I won't forget and never losing that. That's super stressful and annoying. So yes, I'm really glad that they're gonna have dual SIM. I think most Japanese carriers are going to recognize eSIMs, which means I'm going to be able to use the second physical card slot for traveling. The other thing that's really cool is that while the current Japanese iPhones actually have an embedded Suica chip inside of them, the new phone, the phone needs to be powered on for it to work, which means that you're always a little bit afraid when you're out of juice and you're on the train and you can't use the phone, or you're afraid of running out of battery and not being able to get out of the train station, needing to ask for a charger to get out of the train station. The new chip that's going to be in the new iPhones for Japan is going to work even when the phone's out of power. It's going to work just like the IC card, which is awesome. So yeah, that's awesome. But right now, the fact I'm not getting any reception on this is not awesome. I'm going to see if I can swing this around with a different connector. Technical issues. I haven't had a really good technical issue for a while now, but I'm having one now. It's getting hot in here, so I'm going to turn on the air conditioning. That's really what you should do, and what the lyrics of that song should be. So there's a bunch of good reasons that I want to get this thing, apart from the fact it's going to have a better camera and all that other good stuff. And still seeing no joy, even though I changed the connector. I wonder if I need to shut down the streaming software and try this again, which would be annoying. Hey Andrea, my boy, good to see you. Oh, come on. Well, that's not good. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's plug this in one more time. And maybe we've just got to go without the titles in the middle. Now that says that it's sending HDMI, so you know what, I'm just going to try one thing. I'm going to change the screen. I'll be right back. And we're back. Oh, that's taking out the comments on the side, and it's also continued to take out the the screen in the middle. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quickly stop the stream and restart it, because this is super annoying. If it won't work, then I'll give up. It'll be okay, but let me just try this. It just gets worse, indeed it does. So let me do this. I'm going to be right back, okay? Boom. Okay, I'm back and it's working. So that's all that it took, was a quick reboot. Technical issues, I own them. I hope that the stream is still working. According to that, it's still working, so we'll just treat that like that was a temporary outage. It's good to see that you're all still here. Thank you for not going away. So back to the story. Anyway, I'm getting a new iPhone, and part of then getting the new iPhone is that I'm going to, for the first time, get a regular iPhone from the Apple Store, not from SoftBank, and I'm just going to clone the phone. Apparently, one thing I was told that I didn't realize is that when you do this, because I've always got it from the phone company, I didn't realize that I thought I'd get to use this old phone, the one I'm using right now, as a travel phone. So I have to go to Korea, Singapore, you know, I have to do a lot of business trips, America every now and then, and yeah, it's always kind of like, okay, I'll just put the SIM card, I'll use this as a second phone. But I'm told that apparently if you do not have a SIM card in the phone when it updates, it becomes a non-phone, it becomes like a mini iPad. So I'm going to be careful of that. Maybe I'm going to get a cheap SIM card to stick in it, just to keep it alive. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting the new iPhone XS, just mainly for the dual SIMs, for the Suica card, for the improved camera, and just it's nice to get new improved CPU. Although it caused me to reflect. I always look at it and think, well, which apps am I using, which aren't I using? Because it's going to take a long time for the phones to clone, you know, to sync up. And I want to get rid of apps that I'm not really using and try to get it back down to the minimum and kind of build up again. So I was looking today at apps that I am using. And I am Hiko, so why am I asking myself then? Perhaps I can, perhaps I can go in here and I'll show you straight out of my feed what I was doing. So yeah, it's this one. Go into the comments. So I was going through and actually looking at my app screens, and it caused me to contemplate, so what apps have been good and what apps have not been good. Why iPhone, Tyrone D? Not trolling, just curious. I've had Android phones actually for work. I've had them as second phones. I had Samsung Galaxy, and I just found, well, one, I'm not an Apple person. I'm a PC person, but with mobile devices, I found apps on iOS that I really liked. I got frustrated when they weren't there on Android. I got an Android tablet from Toshiba that the motherboard was broken. I got the Samsung Galaxy phone, and it was just kind of clunky, and I just didn't like the feel of it. And I love my iPhone, so I've just stayed on iPhone, and now I'm so invested, I suppose, in all the apps and everything. I'm not unwilling to walk away from it, but yeah, I'm just really I'm comfortable with the with the quality of the things, and I'm just invested in the ecosystem. All the apps that I love, including the apps that I use for the show, are all on it. So I guess that's why. Yeah, I've become a prisoner to it. I'm open to being won over again, but you know, Android is just all over the place. The biggest thing that I get frustrated about with Android actually is that even if you've got the best phone, even if you've got the Pixel phone, you know, the Google phone itself, they don't roll out the, you know, like with iOS, when they're rolling out like updates, when you're getting the newest, best version of it and all these cool new features, you get it. Everyone gets it at the same time. It's part of controlling, you know, the ecosystem. The upside of Android, of course, is that different phone manufacturers can offer phones with different sort of features. You can get, you know, bigger screens and all the sort of stuff that you get with, particularly with the Samsungs that are now ahead technologically of iPhone in many ways. But you never know when you're actually going to get the benefit of a new operating system version, or whether your apps are going to be compatible, or if your apps are going to be updated. It's all handset specific. So yeah, I'm kind of like, that's another thing I got frustrated when I had an Android phone, that I just, in a way, I like the certainty of the walled garden of of iPhone. It'd be really cool if Google could figure out a way to minimize the pain you feel from those compromises, but they haven't so far, so that's where we are. So anyway, these are apps that I use. I'll share them with you, and I'll give you my kind of quick reviews of them. Google Photos I use just because it's like syncs with all my photos, and it's like yeah, it's great for finding old photos, for searching for photos that I have, so that's cool. But that's just for storing photos. Hyperlapse, I always take hyperlapses, as you probably may have noticed, whenever I take flights or whatever. I love that sort of genre. I think it's really, really cool, so I'm keeping that. Instagram, of course, you post. For gimmick photo apps, I've had dozens, but I've come back down to these two. Neon Camera and Tiny Planets are my favorites. Clips is an iPhone. I guess if you use Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook Stories, it's meant to be really good for that, but I don't use those, and I've never really ended up using Clips, so I think I might take that one off. Camera Plus version 2 is an update of Camera Plus. I still use it. I always used to like to use it with, there was another app, I'm trying to remember, Camera Pro, was on Pro Camera, which wasn't updated when they changed the OS to 64-bit. A bunch of apps that I loved didn't get updated, and we lost, which was disappointing. So this is like the only editing one that I use now, but it's okay. But I like to use multiple editing apps, and I don't know, I just feel like there aren't as many good apps around as there used to be. Video editing, iMovie for everything. It's just really, really good. I've tried a bunch of apps for like making like title sequences and stuff like that, and yeah, they've just not been all that good, or I haven't really stuck with them. I wish that iMovie would like increase the number of hey Shikazi, I appreciate it. You don't have to do that, but certainly if you I guess you get free. I'll stop the show and answer your questions anyway, and good to have you back. Good night, Andrea Moboy. Have a good evening. I've tried these other ones. Prisma was kind of good. Video Leap I tried, but basically iMovie is just awesome. It's really all that you need, and even YouTube Studio I just haven't really gotten that much use out of. So I really recommend iMovie. Over here we've got for music apps, I've got SoundCloud. The SoundCloud Pulse for creators, I never thought was very good. IK Oscillator I love, of course I use it here. iMachine is also good, although it takes some time to make tracks. GarageBand is awesome, but I've never taken the time to learn it well enough, which I regret. But yeah, for the other types of apps that I have, I talked about this on Facebook. I've got like, including Tractor, I've got like 6 DJing apps, and I've always thought it'd be really cool if I was asked at a party to suddenly plug in my iPhone and DJ, and I could do that, and I've got a great playlist. But I'm not asked to do that, so I've just not used these. That said, when I've played around with these, DJ Pro down the bottom there is the best one. That looks like a DJ interface. Like if I was going to capture this and put it on a big screen, that's the app that I would use. However, as a DJ, like mixing, a Tractor DJ is just incredible. That's a full PC quality app right there. I've never really used Shazam. It's a good app, but I've never used it. Medley was nice for making tunes, but I've not used it for a long time. So I reckon I'm going to get rid of all of these. I'll keep Tractor DJ in the hope of continuing the dream. I haven't really DJed a proper party in like 10 years now, and if I did, I'd probably, if it was planned, I'd take the SL1200s, the records, and the CDJs and do it old school. That's the way that I learned. I never learned to DJ on a PC. But you know what? I reckon if I was asked, I could probably pull out Tractor and do a pretty good set. Yeah, hey, Sonny, good to see you. So yeah, Tractor. I think probably I'll get rid of all of these apps actually, except for Tractor DJ. Maybe I'll keep DJ Pro as well. Games. You wanna, if you care what I play, I play Words with Friends. I've got like only 2 people give me games, and I'm pretty good. I'll say so myself. I've played Scrabble with my dad every day since I was like 7 years old. I'm pretty good at Words with Friends, and although it's gotten really annoying lately, they've got all these like point bonuses and coins and sort of things, quasi cheats that you can use points to be able to swap your letters without losing a turn. I don't use those just because I think it's stupid. Although that said, I appreciate the challenge, so I don't mind people who I play against using them. And I don't mind losing if they do it that way. It makes you a better player if you're asking me, so I do that. But yes, I definitely play Words with Friends. Beach Buggy Racing, that's a really good game actually, and it's a great port from PlayStation. So it's a bit of a sleeper actually, but it's a really good quality, and it's actually got some depth to it, and if you want to kill like 5 minutes, it's a great game. Knives Out, I wanted PUBG and I wanted Fortnite, and they were crap or not available in Japan, so I played that and I just got hooked on that. That game was originally a PUBG clone. It's become a different thing. I'm addicted to it. It's awesome. It was the #1 game in Japan for a long time. Modern Combat 5 I played for a long time, although I must admit now Knives Out has taken over that, and I'd probably get rid of that app. Surfing, the BCM surfing game, it looks great, but the gameplay is a little bit repetitive. So I must admit I don't play it very much anymore. Rugby Nations as well, I like to have a good rugby game, but the gameplay, the interface isn't very good, so I'm not using it very much. PUBG Mobile is awesome, but I'm hooked on Knives Out. Fortnite I've never really gotten that good at. It was originally terrible in Japan because they set it up from a US server. Yeah, the new game is Apple's Blade. Is that an iOS game? If it is, I'll get it. But yeah, and GTA, Grand Theft Auto, I think is one of the greatest game series ever. For sort of fun games, honestly, I've got a lot of quiz and flashcard type games, but Fez I haven't played yet, I guiltily admit. Surfing is awesome. Orbit I'm going to get rid of. This kanji game, this is just a kanji practice app, but I think that'd be really good to do like as a game. So I was kind of like brainstorming that a little bit today. Minecraft is of course awesome, and I do that with the lads, so I've got that on the thing there. And for my lock screen, yeah, basically Feedly is the main one. So those are my apps. If you've got suggestions for me, I'm all ears. I'm kind of curious what the new game Apple's Blade is about, but yeah, that's what I have with those. Let's get back into the stories. This is kind of interesting. So right now in Japan, you might see on the news that there's this election happening. Samsung always had solid phones. Thought Gaijin 3-star, and I agree. Well, I was a bit let down by the this is now like 3 or 4 years ago, the Samsung Galaxy. It was plastic, it was flimsy, it wasn't quite as responsive, and the screen wasn't quite as good as the iPhone. I know that they've caught up. I know that the current Galaxy phones are great, but just that combined with the frustration of Android itself, which just is just not quite as easy to use, and it doesn't get, quite sure if it's going to get updated. But yeah, there again, if you comfortably can let go of iOS and move over onto Galaxy, from everything I hear, they are, like, technology-wise the best phones right now. So yeah. Anyway, coming back onto this, these two gentlemen, over here, of course, Shinzo Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister, and sitting beside him is Shigeru Ishiba, who is also they're both within the LDP, basically the Republicans of Japan, for simplistic purposes. This happens in all parliamentary democracies, actually, or most. In Japan, of course, you don't vote for the Prime Minister, you vote for a party. And that party decides who it wants to have as its leader, and that leader is the person who gets to be the Prime Minister, selected by the party that wins the election. People don't vote for the specific Prime Minister like the presidential election in the US. Abe is the leader of the LDP, but he has, separate to his terms as Prime Minister, he actually has a term of being chairman in the LDP, which comes up, I believe, every 3 years. They do party elections to vote for a new leader, and this is one thing with Japan. It's famous for having so many prime ministers. And it's because, this has happened in Australia recently too. Everyone always wants to be the chairman of the party because it means you get to be the prime minister. So there's all of these factions and groups, and they're always fighting with each other and undermining each other. And sometimes at these elections, even when they're in power, they just decide, hey, well, we're sick of you as prime minister. Someone else wants to turn a prime minister. And they actually, the LDP, without even there being any national election, the LDP, members of the LDP, like regular people who are like registered Republicans, can vote in the in-house party to change the leader. And right now they're going through one of these elections within the LDP. It's not a national election, only members of the LDP can vote, but they're voting for who the new leader should be. And basically this guy on the right here has decided, I'm sick of this guy out there, let me get a term. And so right now they're traveling the country in LDP conferences doing basically their election debates. And what's really amazing is national elections in Japan, I've always told you, are just terrible, right? It's just like basically there's no policy debates. The opposition is absolutely hopeless. It's like they're trying to lose on purpose. I know I always get really frustrated as someone who likes politics that the national elections are just kind of like, well, what is this even about? Nobody's even saying what they're going to do. These two guys have been debating, and to their credit, they're talking about a lot of policies. Basically, Shigeru Ishiba's being very critical about Abenomics. He's been saying, we've been doing this for a long time, but we're still suffering depopulation. Rural Japan is suffering more and more. Abenomics is just benefiting where it's getting any benefit. It's only for large corporations in Tokyo. We need to spread the wealth. Amazing, by the way, that the Republicans of Japan were talking about spreading the wealth, but they're actually kind of a socialist party. They actually are, all about wealth redistribution. And so, yeah, he's kind of like raising like, well, we need to toss this out and start again. Another thing Abe said is that on his next term, he wants to change the constitution to abandon pacifism and recognize the self-defense forces. He says, well, in terms of, we don't need to abandon pacifism. That's worked out quite well for us. So I don't think there's any pressing need to change the constitution. If we do it, let's recognize the military. But I don't think we need to go crazy like this guy wants to do. So basically, they're having all of these debates that should be happening in normal elections and everyone can vote. But it's actually the best policy debate I've heard in years. So it's actually really, really interesting from my perspective. But yeah, no one really gets a say. It's just sort of as in-house. This is kind of funny. All Nippon Airways, ANA, the better of the two, JAL kind of sucks. ANA is, if you ever get a chance, is a much better airline. I mean, ANA is good, but it's it's kind of the average airline. They're starting a new service where they're going to offer tour guides matched to people who come to Japan. If you want to have a tour guide in Japan, that's kind of cool. There's currently a committee looking at basically ways not only to increase the number of people working in Japan, they're creating a new category of visa which will basically allow companies to employ people for 5 years, not 1 year at a time on renewals. And they're looking not only at, they're trying to figure out all the job categories that they need, that need extra workers, which is like everything at the moment. So it's a great time if you want to come to Japan that they're about to liberalize this, but they're not only looking at that. They're looking at things like, well, how do we check that these people are signed up for insurance? They've all got to have, companies have to cover all their medical. So they should get free healthcare if they're in Japan. They're going to make sure of that. They're going to make sure people have help setting up bank accounts, because sometimes if they don't speak Japanese, it's difficult to do. They're also setting up criteria for the visa, like studying Japanese and stuff like that as well. But they're basically looking at this in a way to, from one perspective, minimizing the disruption of having foreign employees to try to provide as much support as possible, but flip around the other way to make sure that these foreign employees also can thrive in Japan. It's kind of amazing for a Prime Minister, Abe, who thought that, who said publicly that he doesn't think Japan needs extra foreigners. It's remarkably liberal and very pro-foreigner, and it's recognizing the reality of the situation here. So, yeah, it's kind of a good thing. You know how we have funniest English, people who see strange English and they share it online. Of course, this is everywhere. There are Japanese equivalents, and now that there are more foreigners in Japan, Japanese are noticing strange Japanese more often. And it's kind of good. There's apparently a Twitter account now that's the opposite, the inverse of English.com, which basically shares strange Japanese seen or heard being used by foreigners, mocking foreigners using bad Japanese. Which I realize might be a very sensitive subject and somewhat offensive to the people watching this show. But remember, we make fun of Japanese speaking English badly all the time, so, karma, we deserve it, right? And it's kind of funny. So apparently there's there's a list here given by Hashishi, for example. 僕は外国人が生み出す日本語を好きな集めているのですか? So this is a bunch of my favorite phrases that gaijins have come up with speaking Japanese. The first one is 気持ちよくないので今日は帰る. It's a direct translation saying I don't feel well today, so I'm going home. 気持ちよくない is a direct translation of I don't feel well. But it's basically kind of like you make me sick. It's kind of another way to say it. Or it's like ooh, I'm a bit put off. It's kind of when you say 気持ち悪い, it's kind of like ooh, you're kind of gross. Not just that I feel bad, 気持ち悪い, so 気持ちよくないので今日は休む is kind of funny. Happy birthday, カレーを楽しんで, enjoy your extra. Someone here, I don't know how, I've never heard anyone use this phrase before, but the phrase being used there, カレーを楽しんで, enjoy your extra years. And Japanese are extremely sensitive about phrases that imply age or the march towards death. So saying that you're added years is pretty rude. So someone said that. なるほど。一本の道になりました。I don't even know what this person was trying to say, but I see. Well, so that I guess that knocks one down for me or something. Someone's trying to say there, but they've said it like I lost something basically. Instead of that gets one out of the way. They've used a bad phrase for 一本失いました。I'm not sure what that's about even. 頼んでもないチャンス嬉しいです。What is this? It's like, thank you for this. 頼んでもないチャンス嬉しいです。So I'm delighted. I never thought I'd have a chance like this. To have this opportunity that I thought I'd never get is what this person is clearly trying to say. But 頼んでもないチャンス嬉しいです to say, I'm delighted to have this thing that I didn't ask for. And 頼んでもない implies that I never wanted. Thank you for this thing that I never actually wanted. So, you know, it comes across a bit passive aggressive and strange. There's 分かった予判分かった途端に教えて今日教えて多分 the line below that's a bit off, but 分かった途端に教えてyeah, normally what they're trying to say there is 分かったら教えて if you find out what's happening, just let me know, please. But when they say 分かった途端, tell me the moment you understand. It's kind of implying give me a stream of a stream of consciousness. 適当 is a funny word. Look it up in the dictionary. 適当 means suitable, but it also means kind of適当にやろう, just do whatever works, whatever. It means kind of whatever as well, as it's normally used. Even though if you look it up, it'll look like appropriate or suitable in the dictionary. It also is used generally like 適当にやって it means just please yourself, whatever, do what you like. And someone's got here とても適当な服ですね. It sounds like well, that's just like a whatever outfit, and so they've tried to say that it's basically that looks very appropriate, but instead it's come out as saying that's come out very well, whatevs, which is kind of funny. So yes, anyway, there is an account here, someone sharing strange gaijin Japanese, and we deserve it. We brought this upon ourselves. This is really important. We've seen all of these things about dating apps aimed at guys who don't want to deal with real women, and even cases which have been featured in documentaries and TV shows where they have actually married their game girlfriends, and of despair for humanity. But fear not, ladies, your time has come. There is a VR Kanajo with it's got the guy's name on here. VR Karashi, what's his name? His name's like Hiro something. Haruo, your bartender boyfriend toy boy is ready to make sure that you never need men ever again. You can date him. You can I don't know if you can have sexy time, but apparently he is the thing right now for VR boyfriends, and I'm guessing at some point, I actually hope it'd be kind of fun to watch someone actually marry him and saying that they don't need men anymore. But for now, early days, the game has just come out, and ladies, go nuts. Haru, here's your dude. If you want upgrades or customizations, I guess you can ask them. But here you go. What you've always wanted, a nice Japanese boyfriend who will do whatever you want. Tyrone D, am I seeing the same political polarization in Japan that you're seeing in the USA, Europe, in which extreme elements of the left and right dictate the conversation more than 10 years ago? No. I tell you, I'm sitting here in Japan, I'm like going, what the hell happened to you guys? Seriously, like. And the irony is, when Abe came in like 10 years ago, I remember all the British and US commentators were talking about like they were declaring that Japan had Hitler taking over. I mean, they were hysterical, and I was saying, geez, take a chill pill. I mean, I don't like the guy, but you don't have to completely lose your crap over this. And they were like, no, we have to. This is the start of tyranny. He's going to change the constitution. He hasn't changed the constitution. He's let more foreigners in. He's increased the number of women working. I mean, he's actually proved to be incredibly liberal. And as for the opposition and the tone of debate and the media, no, it's always just been the same here. And sitting in Japan and looking out, honestly, I don't know if someone put something in the water supply in the rest of the world, but seriously, people from sitting here, it looks like people have lost their minds in Australia, Europe, and America, and other places too. So no, we have not seen that, and that's another reason why Japan is awesome, and you should probably move here. I mean, seriously, I don't know what the hell's happened to America. I don't talk about the US president, or I try not to. It's unavoidable, yes. So that's what I was talking about before, the new cool features of the new XS, which I'm going to get, and it is expensive, but you can use Suica when it's even out of battery, so that is awesome. There is a train map that's perfect for night owls. If you want to know the last train home from central Tokyo when you live out in the suburbs, someone created a map, and this is actually very cool. Spoon and Tamago made this, but this is basically where you are at Ikebukuro, what time. It's got concentric rings with last trains going out to different far train stations, and you can ride trains till 1:30 in the morning if you need to. But you know, it's like when you go out drinking in central Tokyo and you think, is it 11:30? Should I be, you know, do I need to be on a train now? Generally, people get a bit nervous around 10:45 because, you know, you got to allow for paying the bill, going to the train station. So it's always good to know when that last train is going to be, and that's what this is for. Sergeant Bilko says, if everyone in the West takes everything on the social media for facts, then what do I expect? Yes, that's part of it. Although at the same time, the blaming everything on social media, I also believe, has been overplayed. You know, it's actually been used by politicians. I don't know. While I also feel that the quality of media has definitely declined in the last 20 years, alarmingly, and increasingly with the internet, partly because of the, you know, the fact news has become a low-margin business. They can't afford to pay journalists as much and send them away to research stories for as long. It's a 24-hour news cycle being done on lower budgets. So yeah, you end up just grabbing outrageous people and having them sit in the studio and shout at each other. Unfortunately, it's true that news quality has declined, but at the same time, the whole fake news thing and everything and the social media cycle, while I agree there's been a decrease in quality, I think that the way that it's being, social media and internet news is being blamed for everything is wrong. It's convenient for people in power to do that, but I don't think that, I think that's being overplayed, and it's being overplayed with the intent of suppressing media criticism. So, yeah, but all of that said, I mean, you know, Japan isn't great on the free speech index, although at the same time, Japan does okay because it does have free speech outside of the controlled mainstream media. There's a huge unregulated tabloid world in Japan that will say scandals about the emperor. It will say all the stuff that would get you in a lot of trouble in the mainstream press, which is very tightly controlled. But, so yeah, Japan is pretty much kind of kept the same, and yeah, the rest of the world has changed, but certainly you do get these echo chambers, and you do get people who seem, I mean, I really wonder seriously, like, if these people are bots sometimes, but they do seem to really believe everything that they read on their Facebook feeds sometimes, which is alarming. A thing that I was talking about last night, Naomi Osaka is proving to be a huge economic wave. People are apparently talking about Naomi-nomics. Apparently every one of her sponsors, like products celebrating her US Open win, selling out. The clothes that she was wearing sold out. The tennis racket that she used sold out. She's like a rock star in Japan right now, and long may that continue. I think it's fantastic. Not just the achievement that she's done, but also I think for what she represents for half Japanese who grow up outside of Japan with kind of tenuous Japanese identity. Without getting into the thing about identity politics, it's an issue for half Japanese kids outside of Japan that they come here and they're often told, oh, you're not really Japanese. When they have a passport and they grew up in New Zealand or America believing that they are Japanese, or at least they're part Japanese, and they hope to discover some part of themselves when they come here to discover their Japanese half, and they kind of face rejection. The embracing of Naomi Osaka is partly fair weather sailing, no question, but at the same time she's a 100% legitimate Japanese citizen, without question. You don't have to speak Japanese to qualify to be born with a Japanese parent in Japan and have a Japanese passport. There's not a language requirement for that. And for those people in her position, in future, when they say, well, where do you fit? And she can say, well, that person can say, well, I'm like Naomi Osaka, and they'll say, awesome, that's a great thing. So I'm a huge fan, and long may that boom continue. SpaceX announced this week that they are getting set to announce, apparently early next year, was it this year? Next year. So next year they're going to fly 2 passengers, paying tourist passengers on the BFR, the big effing rocket. They're going to fly it around the moon and back to Earth for the first time since like the 70s. That is freaking awesome. I mean, you know, seriously, must go back to trolling people on Twitter, calling them pedophiles and smoking weed. If you achieve this, I don't care. And honestly, I don't even know why you publicly list your company, or just delete your Twitter account. That's what I'd really like, because I'd like to respect you, and the less I know about you, the more that I respect you, because you do cool things like this. This is awesome, right? This is what it's all about for me. So expected to be ready by the early 2020s. Okay, so it's not going to be next year, but apparently so a year and a half after saying he's just about to announce who they're going to be, and they're going to start training, and basically they're selling these seats for this sort of thing. I think that's awesome. Who else we got in here? The first self-driving car hub is set to start for Shinagawa, which is to say there are self-driving cars in other countries, but this is the first taxi driving service with a place that you can go to always get into a self-driving taxi, which I want to do just for kicks. Starting in Shinagawa, that is awesome. Japan is weighing up right now. There's not enough people to deliver the mail, so they're weighing up. Right now, you can't get normal post delivered on Sundays. They're weighing up extending that to Saturdays because of the worker shortage. Another reason, get some more gaijins. YouTube is kind of funny. People have talked about VVS, about video that looks like this format, and how it's crap and you shouldn't do it for a long time now. However, 70% of people watch video on mobile, and it seems like VVS, I love the glove and boot skit about VVS, the PSA about VVS, plus don't do it because it makes your videos look stupid, basically is the message. But they've kind of come around. They're now going to show ads. I mean, not that we should be happy that they're showing ads in mobile-friendly formats, but it shows that they're acknowledging that mobile is the way that people want to watch. ASTF1231, very good to see you there, by the way. Yeah, I guess it means that we're going to see more changes that'll make it more mobile-friendly, so that's kind of interesting. Another thing from a YouTuber perspective, this is actually the YouTube stars hitting for burnout. The most fun job imaginable became deeply bleak. Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose YouTube represents the ultimate gig economy job, right? People are basically, it seems like, you know, in the abstract, the most popular job in Japan that most kids said that they wanted to do. They wanted to just sit on a sofa, be goofy, make a living, like just recording themselves. Sounds great, but, you know, it's actually incredibly hard work for not great compensation. And you have to keep it going. You don't get a break from it, you know. So yeah, that's pretty tough. Hey, Baker Levitt, good to see you, and things are indeed well, and especially now that you're asking. So thank you for that. Kangan Kodas, good evening to you. Good to see you. So yeah, this question I see people debating the Taiwan exactly your point. Why would Japanese people care about that? What are they caring about? Dutch intelligence agency. John Major, good to see you, by the way. So I am blocked from my speech here. Are you blocked from your speech? I don't think so. By the way, was it you who put up the video? I don't really care. But no, welcome, John Major. Don't fear that. And are you blocked from your speech? I don't know what you're all talking about here. So anyway, if someone could tag me and enlighten me what the debates there are about, I'd be happy to make a comment on them. But otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Robots coming for your lawyer. I hope so. Come at me, bro. This is my response. I read this and I literally thought that as I started reading this, come at me, bro. Seriously. Not that I want to fight them, but yeah, John Major, no worries. I was like, as someone who does legal work, I have to tell you, a lot of legal work that people pay a lot of money to lawyers for, and I pay a lot of money to lawyers. I work in-house now, so I'm not billing by the hour like I used to do. They do a lot of manual, crappy work, discovery, like passing documents, due diligence, going through just reading contract after contract, trying to find the same phrase over and over or the same type of clause. There's so much room for automation. I mean, you know, doctors, lawyers, you know, they go get highly educated so that they can use their brains, and there's a lot of brainless work actually in lawyering. Bring in the freaking robots, seriously, and you know, make them earn their wages. Then now I'm a customer of lawyers. I pay them as a client, and you know, I don't want to pay $300, $400, $500 an hour to the firm, not to the lawyer, to have them just do work that robots can do. So yeah, auditors, accountants, or, goes on and on. I'm all for automation and robots coming, not because I think it's going to take away the jobs. I don't think it's going to take away their jobs at all. It's going to actually just force them to actually do higher value work, which is what you want. I don't, you know, tell me what I need to do. Give me the advice that I want. And hell, I can use these tools as well, because I manage work that also involves repetitive tasks. So seriously, I don't care if robots are coming, and actually I absolutely welcome it. So that's pretty cool. I mentioned on 2.5 last night, the press conference where Shirkazi, I think you're talking about the citizenship age that you have to choose. It's 22. I see you dancing around there, 23, 21. It's 22 according to the citizenship law that you have to choose. That said, no one chooses, and there's no enforcement mechanism, and no one checks. Technically, the only things that Japanese citizenship is actually ever really an issue, where it would actually come up as an issue, is one, if you voted in an election, where you would be unqualified to vote if you held a foreign citizenship and you voted. The other is if you worked in the civil service. So anything other than that, they don't actually do the check when you renew your passport. And it works well. The reason that Japan doesn't recognize multiple citizenships is because it's beside a country that is openly hostile to Japan, that Japan has had multiple wars with, that has a territorial dispute, and has 10 times Japan's population, and half the foreigners in Japan are from that country. And Japan is afraid that if it may be paranoid, but New Zealand and Australia had similar, California, America had similar laws for the same purpose in the past, and Japan is right beside China and North Korea, and there's hundreds of thousands of North Korean citizens. They're afraid that if they recognize dual citizenship, it would mean that you would have, it would be possible for China to be able to influence politics in Japan, and to plant people in the military, in the civil service. So they want it clear. Not so much that they prohibit that they force people to renounce their other citizenships. They just want it there as a lever to to have that control if they feel like they need it. Remember that Alberto Fujimori, the acting president of Peru, was recognized as a Japanese citizen when he came over to Japan. That was special circumstances. It was partly because they wanted to thank him for saving the Japanese, for rescuing the staff of the Japanese embassy in Lima when it was taken over by Shining Path guerrillas. That got Fujimori into a lot of trouble, of course, because he had all of the guerrillas executed on the spot when they raided the place. But yeah, basically, Japan is extremely... I have heaps of Kikoku Shijo friends who have US and Japanese passports, heaps of half friends who have multiple passports, and no one ever gets called on this, no one ever gets checked. In fact, the leader of the opposition, Renho Shah, when she was the leader of the opposition, in a national election, it got discovered halfway through the election, and she'd been working as a politician in the Diet for like 20 years, and no one ever noticed that she actually had never gotten rid of her Taiwanese citizenship. And she was in a position that she could have ended up being prime minister, and in violation of this law. Basically, internet trolls sort of found out this fact, and it kind of became a big deal. She just fixed it. She didn't resign over it even. She resigned later on, but not over that. So yes, the law is there, and it's there for a specific reason, mainly China, to tell you the truth. They're not thinking about Naomi Osaka or me or my kid or anything like that, and it's never enforced. That said, of course, they might decide to enforce it. It's there on the books, and it can be enforced. And I guess we've got to think through: is having a grey law that just gives them a discretion, is that really the right way to deal with it, or should they deal with it more directly and give people the assurance, not make them feel like they're at the mercy of some bureaucrat? But the system as it is, I know it looks terrible on paper. The other thing is that renouncing citizenship is a huge pain in the ass. A lot of countries have no method for renouncing citizenship. I mean, America, they do have a method for it, which is incredibly painful. You can read Ado, his blog, and he walks through it, the whole thing, and it's ridiculous. But a lot of countries don't even have how do you stop being, what you are, kind of a thing. It's kind of weird. So again, there's no, and how does the Japanese government validate that you properly took all of the steps? Like, what do you do? Sing a song, dance in a circle, jump up and down, say a chant, and then you're renounced? Like, it's kind of like that. So it's the citizenship thing. I know it looks really harsh, but one, it's not uncommon. Most countries most countries in the world do not recognize dual citizenship. The only reason that countries like America and New Zealand and Britain recognize dual citizenship is because It was for colonialism. It allowed English people to come to America and to come to New Zealand and be British, while at the same time becoming American without feeling like they were losing anything. It was to accommodate people who were taking over and conquering and invading countries. Think about it. Why would Native Americans recognize dual citizenship of people coming to their country? It was set up for the invaders. So it's another reason that Japan doesn't have it. So historically, there's no reason for them to recognize it in the past. Today, there's kind of a reason for it, but yeah, the truth is that it's not a big deal. So yeah, in the Asian neck, indeed, Asian rain does. This is interesting. All of the rumors, this happens in every country. All foreigners are here and they're abusing welfare. Let's check if they're abusing the insurance system, like tourists or whatever, non-qualified people. All of these rumors and people reporting to the government that I saw a foreigner at the hospital and I think they're ripping off the social welfare. It happens in Australia, it happens in America. That people report, just seeing non-Americans or whatever. The equivalent happened in Japan. The Ministry of Health set up a huge investigation of all of the cases of this being reported to see if there was really an issue that needed to be tackled, and the conclusion was no. Every time something like 80 to 90% of the people being reported as abusing health insurance, it turned out they were totally legit and it was just a racist person and there was no issue. So they actually confirmed that there is no issue. Yes, it actually showed something else, which was this. Unfortunately, there weren't that many people being reported, but it actually showed that it's just not an issue in Japan. So yeah, Tyrone D, it happens in a lot of places, right? Yes, indeed, John Major, I think that sounds like an excellent way to renounce citizenship. I mean, it's a social construct, citizenship in the first place. I mean, seriously, do you have to put the sword back into the rock? I mean, what do you do, right? Rolder's father did a good job abusing the health system. I don't know about what Rolder's system did. You're talking about her Japanese dad. I mean, this is so, yes, there's scamsters everywhere, but he's not a gaijin though, right? I hope not. Team gaijin, let's keep it good. Tips for passing the Japanese language proficiency test. There's a few good ones here. This is by Gaijin Pot. You should follow this blog if you're interested in Japan. They've got lots of good tips. I've got tips on this myself. Basically, a lot of rote learning. Focus on the reading comprehension. Get the kanji down. Get the grammar. I mean, it's just. Let's do this. So, schedule your time. Yes, time management is extremely important, and it's something I did very, very badly. Know your strengths. Yes, indeed. Know where to spread yourself, and whether you need to focus on kanji, whether you need to focus on reading, whether your audio listening is good. My listening was good, so I didn't spend so much time on that. Study unusual forms, yes, because they only test on all the irregular forms, so yes, that is true. Expect the unexpected, that's right. They test on all the exceptions, and the old test papers is a great way to prepare. Differentiate spoken and written Japanese, absolutely. Do not use spoken form Japanese on the test. Yeah, JLPT is, and get it. If you want to work in Japan, not as an English teacher, it's proof that you can do what you say you can do if you claim to be able to speak Japanese, so that's pretty good. Chris Rushton, good to have you along here. You heard from a friend that a person working in Japan for a Japanese company who pays Nanking decides to move overseas permanently, they can get their Nanking back. Is this true? Yes, it is true. Although, depends on the country that they're going back to. If you go back to a country with a treaty, sometimes you can transfer the balance of your pension contributions to your pension back in your home country. If your country does not have a pension arrangement, they will pay you back in cash. It used to be, I don't know what the current status is, but they'll only pay you back 3 years worth of contributions, which is stupid. I hope they've fixed it, because if I were to leave right now, I've been contributing pension contributions for 20 years, but if I leave the country and I go to New Zealand, which does not have a mutual recognition pension treaty with Japan, I would only get 3 years of pensions refunded to me, which would be kind of bad. If I went to Australia, by contrast, or Britain, by contrast, I would actually get the full balance of all my pension contributions transferred to my Australian pension account. You really probably want to either stay until you can actually collect, which, let's face it, that's not going to happen because it's all being spent. Right now, all our pension contributions are being spent on the overpopulation of old people right now that basically did drugs and dance and grew their hair and spent all of our money, or all of their own pension money, back in the economic miracle of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now we're funding them instead of them funding themselves, and there's not going to be anything left for us. But you can stay there and take the chance and hope that you might get some of the money back. But if you really want to get the money back and have a hope of having any money in your pension, yeah, going to a country with a pension treaty with Japan is a really good way to do it, and you should consider that. EU just approved a stupid, ridiculous copyright law that is going to basically allow people to claim copyright over like linking to news stories and stuff like that. It's basically going to make it impossible to share content. It's going to make this difficult in Europe. And again, they just want to shut down the internet by the looks of it, and basically just protecting media content owners, big media companies, and trying to allow them to monetize everyone using their sources, which sucks. N5 is indeed a breeze. People should do that. Corp Q-sama, RIP memes, indeed. And good to see you, Corp Q-sama. Well, got lots of cool people in here tonight. You thought that I said Nanking. I don't think that I said Nanking, but thank you for bringing it up. That was good to lighten the conversation. Russia this week. Apparently Putin met with Abe this week. You don't meet Putin. Putin meets you. And he said to Japan, I know that you haven't given us a peace treaty for these, this is a terrible Russian accent, I should just stop, for these 70 years because you want those 4 little islands beside Hokkaido back that people used to live on so they can go back to their houses. How about this? How about we just do a peace treaty and I not give you the islands back? Good deal? And Abe said, well, maybe. And he came back to Japan and everyone said, traitor. Japan is basically just holding up for this one thing. It's worked out well for Japan, just in the same way that the abductee issue has worked out kind of cynically well for Japan, that it didn't contribute to all of the aid packages and all the wasted money that's been poured into North Korea in exchange for them becoming a normal country. Same with Russia during the 1990s, of course, to support the democratization and modernization of Russia. The whole world, IMF, America poured trillions of dollars into Russia. And as we know, all that money went to the mafia and the oligarchs and, Putin and his cronies and the government. They all became extremely rich from it. And Japan, when America and everyone said, hey, we're giving all this money to Russia to make sure that they stabilize and don't become a threat to the world. Japan, you should pay in too. And Japan's like, yeah, those 4 shitty little islands, we can't do it, sorry, And they've been saying, hey, Russia, you settle this, yeah, we'll give you some money, sure, whatever, we'll open up trade, we'll have a peace treaty, we'll do pipelines, we'll buy your oil, we'll buy your gas, just give us our shitty little islands back, please. And Russia's been like, yeah, well, the thing is, we're right-wing nationalist maniacs, and, we won't look like nationalist right-wing maniacs if we give you territory. You've seen, Russia does not give territory, Russia takes territory, right? I mean, you've seen Crimea. You'd think that, everyone would be feeling really good about Crimea. They can just give away these shitty islands near Vladivostok and no one would really care. But, it's enough of a thing that they don't want to do it. But they do want Japan's money, and they thought they'd politely tell Japan that, yeah, you should just give us money in exchange for nothing and a peace treaty. I think that would be a really good idea. Not going to happen, probably, but Abe's been angling for a long time that he feels like the time is right, that we're going to get those islands back. I don't know if we're going to get them back. Russia's kind of doubled down, possibly as a negotiating tactic. They've put military bases on those islands. But yeah. Anyway, that's been this week with Russia. ASTF 1231 actually listened to a podcast in Russian. They talked about the thing with Putin and Abe. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but this has been going on forever. The thing is, Brezhnev in 1956 actually did promise, give 2 of the islands back, sign a peace treaty, and then we'll give you the other 2 islands back. And Japan was like, deal. And then Brezhnev died. And everyone said, yeah, Brezhnev was actually insane at the time that he made that deal, and we don't think it counts. And everything got reset. And every time ever since then, Japan and Russia did actually agree on the return of the islands. And Russia's just said, yeah, let's reset that. And, Japan's never let go of it. So, hopefully it will get done. Japan's still pushing for it. Those islands do not house tens of millions of people. No, they have hundreds of people. But they weren't inhabited. They weren't like the uninhabited island that, Korea occupies, or the uninhabited islands that China claims. These were properly inhabited islands. And the whole Kuril island chain has got hundreds of islands. I don't know, bunch of islands on this chain. Japan only wants the 4 islands that are right beside Hokkaido. So, but strategically they could allow shipping through the Sea of Okhotsk, which could allow US warships into there, which Russia is very sensitive about. So there's all sorts of reasons why it's stuck, but yeah. The person there said it's part of Putin taking on more and more of the roles himself. Yeah, that's probably part of it. But the point is that, Japan's ready to give them a shit ton of money if they want it. But they seem to value nationalism above economics still, which is, that's Russia. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, distracted by the comments, and I realize we're over time. Actually, this has gone long. I thought this would go short tonight, but it's actually gone. Although I see, this is 48 minutes, but I had to reboot the thing. So anyway, so what else we've got? The new phones. I'm getting the XS. Putin makes an offer he thinks Abe can't refuse. That Abe, well, he should have refused. He didn't refuse at the time, but unconditional signing of a peace treaty. I mean, seriously. I mean, the not having a peace treaty thing has worked out pretty well for Japan, and Russia's going to have to offer more than a smile and a few potatoes. Naomi Osaka is awesome and good to see that. EU has a disastrous copyright law. Apparently, that's right. Periscope and Twitter are going to allow audio only posting on the internet, which I think, thinking of the US president, is terrifying. But thinking about the rest of the internet and podcasters is possibly a good idea. I'm still a big fan of Twitter, although I do wonder, I guess it'll get around the 140 characters thing. I'm curious to see how this will work, but it is an interesting development. This is my favorite moment of the horrible to watch US Open final, with all of the booing that Serena Williams lost, all of the trashing of the officials for, she should be allowed to abuse him. It's the American way of playing tennis, that we always abuse officials. Look at John McEnroe, he's a man, he could do it. Why can't Serena? You're being sexist. Are you kidding me? Boo, boo. All of this, in the middle of this, people are trying to be a bit gracious with Naomi, and obviously they just didn't really know what to do. And I think I tweeted this, as an awkward white person myself, I really like this. This makes me happy. Let me show you.
The way she played was incredible.
She's not sure what to do.
Be lost.
Yes, she's actually Haitian American.
But it will be lost.
She does have a Japanese.
The way she played was incredible, but it will be lost.
Go for it. I love that. I love it. It's completely wrong and awkward and cringy, but at the same time, you can tell her it's in the right place. She's actually trying to be nice. Oh no, they were pretty much everyone in America being shitty. Naomi, so I love that. It's a great way to end the show, actually. I see US soccer against Mexico. They behave like, oh man, soccer. I'm a rugby fan, right? In rugby, you always call the referee sir. You only talk through the through the captain of the team, and you're always respectful to the referee, even when they're wrong. And I'm a rugby referee, and I'm wrong all the time, man. And if they ever question your decision, even the correctness of your decision, you march them 10 meters back. It's wonderful being a referee on rugby. I don't know why people would ever want to be a referee playing soccer. All of that, Naomi Goods selling out everywhere. That's awesome. There's something I've been obsessed about lately. Man, I'm so over time, but screw it. I'm just going to go on a little bit more. The Mexico fans were. I don't doubt it. I mean, soccer is just like pro wrestling and acting. I don't know. It's a strange. It's a beautiful sport when it's played well, but it's complete anarchy. I am always wrong. It's true. Speaking of always being wrong, I've been really, really, really busy with work. I'm always busy with work, but I've been really overwhelmed busy with work lately, and I've been constantly thinking about one particular episode of Black Mirror. If you haven't seen Black Mirror, go and watch it. It's one of the best science fiction stories in. Oh no! Wait a minute! Oh well, that's not the right link. But anyway, there's an episode called White Sick Christmas, which is a special Christmas special at the end of season 2 of Black Mirror. Black Mirror is awesome. You must watch it. It features John Hamm from Mad Men, and it's basically 3 short stories in an extended long episode. And it always comes up with some sort of futurist technology and some dystopian outcome of having that technology. And the technology that they had, that I want and that I've been obsessing about lately, is that people put an implant into their brain that's surgically removed, but that implant basically reads your brainwaves for a sufficient period of time that it basically manages to absorb your personality. And you can save it in an electronic device. It becomes basically like an electronic AI that is your, for want of a better term, your soul, your brain, your personality, everything is basically read onto this chip, which is put into an egg-like device called a cookie. And If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about anyway. And there's two kind of cases where they show this cookie being used. I won't tell you the second one because it's a twist. It's a plot twist, which spoils the whole episode if you hear that. So, in the beginning, there's a busy executive who's looking at, oh man, I never have enough time to read or respond to all my mails in my life right now, and exactly what I want this for. So she gets a cookie made, but instead of having that cookie actually help her do her work, which is what I want a cookie for, the cookie that she has is for controlling her house. So it cooks her toast just the way she likes it, turns on the lights, sort of runs everything. The problem is that the cookie, being a complete duplication of the person's personality and knowledge, for intents and purposes, is a human personality saved, and they believe that, of course, they see themselves as real, even if it's an electronic reproduction of that person's personality. And of course, they are traumatized, and because they're electronic or whatever, there's one feature of the cookie that you can coerce it into doing your will by basically controlling time. You can make it feel like time is passing by, like years are passing by in seconds, and use that to basically convince them that they have to act as your slave. And people do this, and it raises the question of, you know, what about ethical mistreatment of AIs based on human personalities? But I'm also thinking, well, one, what a waste of, if you duplicate your brain, why would you have it make toast for you? Seriously, you know, why would you do it only once? Why not make 100 copies of your own brain and do all the things that you want to do, and focus on all of those things? And wouldn't that be a great way to be like a super intelligence? I mean, what's wrong to stop you making infinite copies? I've been thinking about this because I've been very, very busy. But yes, indeed, the question of AI abuse. Well, that's it. You're kind of punishing yourself, and it's kind of like, you know, would you be willing to torture yourself or treat yourself as a slave? Because the toast was good, you know. It's a great episode. I really recommend you watch it. It's extremely dark. That episode, of the aspect of cooking the toast, is a very, very small part of the episode, but it's just stuck with me after 4 seasons of that excellent thing. That's one of the things that stuck with me most, and I've been obsessing over it. And that's the show. We've gone long. I didn't think I'd go this long, but I did go this long. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's great to talk to you all. It's great to have all of you awesome people in the comments. I mean, seriously, this is a really good crowd. I do appreciate that you come here and keep me company every week, and that you enjoy the discussions. I will be back with 2.5 Voyages next week, of course, at probably 10:30 p.m. Same time, actually, on Saturday, and then on Sunday, as per every week, Tokyo Tonight, where we'll talk about the latest things going on in Japan. If there's free time, I'll make some tunes, which I thought I'd do tonight, but I haven't had time to do. Also, don't forget, check out my channel. I haven't had much time to showcase it lately, but it's a great way to keep up with your YouTube subscriptions. I made it to do that. It's really cool. Please try it out and tell me what you think of it. I'm thinking about moving towards getting creating an iPhone and Android version of this, and I might need to do a Kickstarter for it. But I want you guys to have a look and check it out first and get into it. Seriously, if you put your subscriptions in there and you try even a single channel just for catching up, it is the best way to keep up with your subscribed content and supporting the creators that you like to support. So do that. And you wanted to see the My Chan bundle for the spring party. Well, it's there. I mean, I've shared it a couple of times. I'll share it right after this on Twitter and in the video information so that you can have the spring party. I only created it for the summer party, but I'll put it down below. And yes, indeed. Stay black like Tokyo Sam. Yes, indeed, I will. Have a good one, everybody, and see you next week. Boom. Peace. Don't forget to like if you liked as well. That's always cool. See you later.